Hello everyone, it's Friday, November 29th. Let's talk PlayStation. It's getting colder and colder, people. Here in New York, it is snowing like crazy, so I'm bundling up and getting all snuggly and warm. Because I hate winter. But, hey, Europe and most other territories, but not all of them, PlayStation 4 came out today. So, yeah, good stuff for you guys, right? Like, I've been hearing so much, I've been getting so many messages from everyone that's not in North America saying, like, can't wait for PS4, blah, blah. It sucks that we have to wait this long. You guys got it. Hope you're enjoying it. Let me know if you have any problems or anything. I don't know. Like, let's see if this hardware thing's still a big issue or whatnot. But, hey, it's out. Enjoy it. And, reference all my videos. Okay, enough plugging my own videos. Let's talk about some PlayStation news, or I guess movie news. Whoa. Sony has registered two domain names regarding The Last of Us. TheLastofUsMovie.com and TheLastofUsMovie.net. So is Sony making a The Last of Us movie? Now, these domains were registered by an brand protection agency under the email address of Sony Pictures, so it's very clear that this is Sony registering it, but will they actually do something? Now, one thing to note is Sony is just recently, they're adapting Heavenly Sword into a movie. They own the rights to that IP, and they're also adapting Ratchet & Clank into a movie, which I believe is still due for 2015, so it's not outside the realms of impossibility that they take one of their masterpiece, IPs like The Last of Us and adapt it into a movie. And in a lot of people's eyes, that's what that game was. I mean, it was a very story-driven title, and people nowadays, even though the the fungus in The Last of Us, they aren't zombies, but, to the general public of people who don't play games, like, people love zombies. The Walking Dead's doing fantastic. I think if Sony is actually doing this, I think it's smart for them to, because, well, one, Sony Pictures is hemorrhaging money. They've been having a lot of box office busts, I believe, so, to possibly rely on Sony Computer Entertainment's rights to, adapt and make some money is not like I said, it's not outside the realms of possibility. I think it's actually very possible that they might do that. Now, that goes without saying. I think for me and a lot of people personally, I wouldn't want them to do that. I think The Last of Us is a great game. I don't think it needs to be a movie, because if it is a movie, more than likely it's going to suck. I mean, of course it has the possibility of doing good. It could be fantastic. The Last of Us is a great story, and I feel like if that was properly adapted into a movie, it could be incredible, but chances are that's not going to happen. I'm optimistic that if a Last of Us movie were to be made, I would want it to be good. I would want, the right directors on it, the right writers, the right people playing the parts. But sometimes, more often than not, when a video game gets turned into a movie, that just doesn't happen. So, I don't know. This is one of those scenarios where Sony, as an entire corporation, not just Sony Computer Entertainment, is doing something that involves the video game side, but it could possibly, help the video game side if this were to happen. I mean, this is a very long term, by the way. These are just domain names. They might not even make the movies, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. So this news story came out literally like right when I was editing last week's Let's Talk PlayStation. I posted a link in last week's episode to let people know, but Sony is officially bundling the PS4 and PS Vita together, and I believe, from what I'm reading, it's available like now in the UK and Europe. Like, you were able to buy it like last night or tonight, however this editing goes up. I have no frame of time in my head right now, but I believe it's available, so everyone can let me know when you went to pick up your PS4s if this was available. I believe this is a soft bundle, so Sony's partnering with retailers to do this. It's not a hard bundle, which is the actual box and manufacturing and everything is shipped together like that, which would make sense because they've been manufacturing PS4 since September or late October, I think. But it's there, they're doing it finally, and I'm going to assume hard bundles will be available later. Hopefully in the West. I believe they're going for a little under £500 for both of them. So I think that's good value, right? I'm American. A PS4 is £350, and then a Vita is like £150, right, or something, and they're selling it for like a little under £500. And there's other bundles too that has games and stuff, but that's good. I think it's a great idea because obviously Vitas aren't selling, and a lot of people like to think that remote play is going to sell Vitas, which, maybe it does, but it's not going to be the point where you're going to notice it in sales. It's not going to be like you're going to see 100,000 Vitas get sold every month in America, or every week, because I think they already hit that number every month, but they're not going to do gangbuster numbers, so it's not, remote play is a nice feature, but it's not going to sell Vitas. But if you bundle it, that's where the value comes in. That's when the value proposition comes in, because people are obviously going to get PS4s down the line at some point, but if you have a Vita put in there, it's for a lot of people, the consumer, it's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't I get that? And then, you know, these people have Vitas, they have PlayStation Plus, that means they have Vita games in the instant game collection, then that could possibly encourage them to play their Vita more often, that they had bundled with their PS4 because they just had it. This is kind of that situation where they were never planning on buying a Vita, but once that value proposition is there, they go and buy it, and then once they have it, they start to buy more Vita software. You know, software's good, promotes more Vita sales, and blah, blah, blah. You see how that all goes, and it paints a better picture for PlayStation Vita. So this past week, there was a good chance that when you logged into PSN on whatever device you were using, you were prompted to change your password from Sony, or you possibly received an email prior with Sony saying that they had a little bit of an intrusion on their network, and that, you know, in the best, safest regards, they were, you know, forcing you to change your password because they had an invasion on their network. And this is kind of bad news. I mean, I'll tell you right now, this is a negative criticism story for me for what I'm going to say right now. This is, you know, getting a little ridiculous and out of hand. Now, granted, they're requiring PlayStation Plus from now on with PS4. What they're saying is they're gonna take all that money and reinvest it in the network, and you goddamn better hope they do that, because this is getting out of hand. I mean, people that paid for Xbox Live on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, they do get what they paid for because they never had to deal with any of this BS, and it is BS because you shouldn't have to do this stuff. This stuff shouldn't have to be happening. Now, granted, Sony did a more responsible thing this time and told people, like, hey, this is why we're making you change your password, and we're making you do it now, and we're making you do it. Like, yeah, they did the right thing in this regards. Not like how they handled it back in 2011 when the huge thing where they were down a month and they weren't telling anybody anything. That was a disaster, and obviously they're handling it better here. And I would say that they definitely have the benefit of the doubt here because they are doing better, but I want to see this end soon, right? Because right now you try and log on PS4 and the network's congested. You can't see your friends list on PS4. Name requests take forever to load. The what's new section takes forever to load. More people are buying PS4, so I have to imagine it's only going to get worse. And, you know, over the years of using PlayStation 3 as my primary platform for multi-platform games and just overall preferred platform in general, like, you know, I've totally run into PSN issues over and over and over again. Yeah, I enjoyed that it was free, but it still sucked, you know, and it's just one of those situations where we're paying now, and I want to see improvements in the next 2 to 3 years, because it sucks, it gets annoying, and it's not like, of course, they don't ask for intrusions on their network. And that was kind of my big thing back in 2011, like when people said, oh, PSN gets hacked and stuff, and it could happen to everybody. The government gets hacked. Like, nobody wants to get hacked and you know, have intrusions on their network. But, you know, let's just beef up some security. Let's get this thing working. Let's not have dropouts. Let's not have maintenance as often as it does anymore. Let's just have it work. And this isn't just referring to like this one instance of password changes, just overall. Like, one thing I haven't talked about on this channel is that, you know, PSN in general, and yeah, it was free for a majority of the time, but it did kind of suck half the time. A lot of the times it worked great for me, a lot of the times it didn't, you know. So Sony, get on your ass now. Now, granted, you're making people join a reward service that gives you free games, but look, just get your network really good. Let's get it really solid. Let's lower the maintenance. Let's not have downtime. Let's not have login issues. And I know you don't want to get hacked, but don't get hacked. I don't know, man. There's no defending PSN. It has issues. It has issues. I just hope that there's some noticeable, vast improvements in the next 2 to 3 years. So last week we talked about Crash Bandicoot coming back to PlayStation and the evidence that was there. And this news story is going to cover more evidence. That's right, more evidence, not less evidence. Now, one thing that, before we get into the more evidence, Activision recently, this past week, made a public announcement regarding Crash Bandicoot, and they said they still own it and that they are exploring new ways to bring Crash Bandicoot back. So that was officially what they said, that they still own it. Now, and then everyone, you know, some people got a hold of me like, nope, you're wrong, Ryan, blah, blah. Well, one, I never believed it. Like, I'm still kind of in shock that this might actually happen. But some people are like, oh, damn you, Activision, they still own it, blah, blah. Here's what I'm going to say. I still find it very hard to believe that Sony acquired Crash Bandicoot, or that they're somehow working with Activision to bring Crash Bandicoot back. I still think that's a little crazy, but the evidence was there for me to talk about it. However, And some people are just automatically believing what Activision says. Now, you do realize that if Sony did, for example, acquire Crash Bandicoot, or if they are trying to bring Crash Bandicoot back in some way, shape, or form, you do realize Sony or Activision wouldn't confirm that. You realize they wouldn't do that, right? Like, right now, no matter what Sony says or what Activision says, don't believe them. They're not going to confirm it just right then and there. Something as big as Crash Bandicoot coming back is going to be saved for an announcement. It's going to be saved for a reveal. It's going to be saved for E3 or Gamescom or the VGAs or VGXs. That's what they're calling it now. They're going to save it for something. They're not going to just respond to people's requests and be like, no, you're right. No, yeah, they took it back. Yeah, they're making a great game for it, actually. They're not going to do that right in the middle of the week when there's gosh darn nothing going on. They're going to save it for an event. So, don't believe what Activision says, don't believe what Sony says until we get, like, a straight answer. Now, going into, like, the more evidence of Crash Bandicoot, PlayStation's Brazilian Twitter account tweeted a picture of Crash Bandicoot and a little PlayStation banner, and it said something in Brazilian, which I am not going to repeat because I don't know how to say it, but it says, Crash wants a hug. So they posted this picture, said something in Brazilian that translates to Crash wants a hug, and that's it. And then the tweet was deleted. Now, that's more evidence, dude. I mean, come on, like, they put that, like, little teaser in the video, then, Activision removes the stuff, and now this tweet gets posted. It's becoming more and more real to me. It really is, and it's... The thing is, like, I still find it hard to believe that Sony acquired Crash Bandicoot, like they own the rights to him now, but it could be possible that Sony's just teaming up with Activision and they still retain the ownership. Maybe Sony just will, maybe Sony will acquire ownership of one specific title, and, Activision will still own the IP, which intellectual property is Crash Bandicoot. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, any guess I have is as good as your guess, but this is more evidence for sure. So we'll just have to wait. Again, we'll have to wait and see till events come up and what have you, and until Sony actually says something about this officially, or just wait until it never happens, because it really just never happened, and Sony's just messing with us, and Activision really is bringing it back. I don't know. I could be wrong. So going into our cover story, Sony was recently in an interview with Tech Radar. Sony's Fergal Gara, the UK boss, was talking about how he believes that the PS4's life cycle will be a little bit shorter than the PS3's life cycle, which I thought was an interesting topic. So obviously it's way too soon to talk about something like this, but there's really not a whole lot going on to talk about this week. So let's talk about this. PS5, when can we expect the next PlayStation? Why would PS4's life cycle be shorter? Stuff like that. Now, for Gulligar basically said for certain markets like the UK, he believes that the PS4's life cycle will perhaps be a little shorter than the PS3's. Now, it's worth noting the PS3 and 360 cycle were the longest cycle like ever. They lasted 7+ years, which was really long. Most cycles did not last that long. So we had them a long time. They were a little, they overstayed their welcome, so now we have PS4 and X1. So why would PS4 and X1 possibly be shorter? Or let's at least talk about just PS4, because I believe Microsoft has a different sort of plan. But why would Sony perhaps believe this sort of situation would happen with the PS4? Now, of course, one thing to always note, it's a rapidly changing market. Things are always changing. Mobile's getting stronger than ever. PC game has really been picking up the last few years, and a lot of people like to think that that might be the reason why, perhaps to stay competitive with mobile, or to perhaps keep up with, PC, because PC is always getting stronger and stronger and stronger. What would be the reason for it? And I kind of, for me at least, it seems like it gets into a lot of things, because one thing to also note is Gaikai. Sony has Gaikai streaming, and that could be a very strong future for PlayStation. The PS5 could be a $100 box that just uses Gaikai technology and is, you're streaming PS5 games, and they look incredible because there's the hardware isn't on the box. It's wherever Sony is, and you're reading it from there and streaming it. I don't know what the future holds. It's kind of hard to talk about when it comes to technology and even video games. It's hard to talk 2+ years out because you really don't know what's going to happen and what's going to be the game-changing thing. But for a while, there hasn't been much game-changing things. We've got Oculus Rift on PC that's really, really interesting. That could be the way of the future. Sony's doing their own virtual reality. We know there's strong rumors regarding that Sony might be releasing that at some point for the PS4. But, I don't know, man. It goes into a lot of factors as to why PS4 might not be as long as PS3. Now, it's also worth noting that PS3 is going to be around for plenty of years after the into the PS4's life cycle. So it begs the question, when PS5 comes out, how long is PS4 going to last? Is PS4 going to have a 10-year life cycle? Because PS3 certainly will. PS1 did. PS2 did. you know, what's going to happen there. And I really don't have a straight answer for this topic because, again, it's like way too hard to talk about stuff like that 2+ years out, and this is going to be 5+ years out, assuming the PS4 cycle only lasts about 5 years. Now, the reason why I don't have a straight answer, and the reason why someone else might have a straight answer, some people might. I know a lot of people's opinions are, oh, like, Sony and, wants to stay competitive with mobile. Mobile's getting really powerful, or Sony has to keep their hardware up to compete with PC. And my problem with that scenario and that sort of ideology is, it's the console market, and it's not about staying competitive with mobile or PC. It's about being, the console market's different from PC and mobile. Mobile people. Mobile's mobile, all right? People, that's not a whole thing to get into. Touch controls and all that, blah, blah, blah. And people want to believe that, mobile is certainly getting powerful. Mobile's getting up to PS3 graphics, and I certainly would believe that mobile could certainly reach PS4 graphics in the next 5 years. It's certainly possible. I don't think that's a threat, though. I think even if mobile had better graphics than PS4, it still wouldn't be the console market, because the thing with mobile is there's no set standard. There's no plug-and-play standard. There's no controller standard. It's always peripherals and this and that if you want to get, button controls on mobile. I just think it's too convoluted and it's too fragmented right now, so it's not a huge threat to the console market. And people inside the video game industry for years have always been told mobile's going to take over, PC's going to take over, and it hasn't happened yet. So I still firmly believe consoles are going to stay for a long time. So, but that's why I don't believe mobile. And the thing with PC, at least, is, again, PC is a different market. Consoles sell to a lot of casual consumers, and casual consumers don't buy PCs, so they don't care about it. And, that also brings into question the Steam box. Steam box is a, thing that Valve's doing. They're going to have Steam OS on these boxes that are pre-built, just like a console, basically, and you have Steam Big Picture mode on your PC. That's sort of their push into the living room. But I have different opinions on that as well that aren't going to, I don't think that's going to affect the console market either, because Steam OS and the Steam machines are, casual consumers aren't going to buy that, and PC gamers aren't going to buy that, at least in my eyes. So I don't think that's a threat either. So I don't know. I don't have a straight answer as to why the next console life cycle may be not as long as PS3's. I mean, I've said a lot in the past, 4 minutes. It goes into way too many things. Mobile, PC, the Steam machines, past generations, why this current generation, what Sony's doing with Gaikai, their virtual reality. It's such a broad topic. So I guess to sort of kind of end this topic is it's way too vague and broad. So I really don't know. Perhaps that is the answer. Maybe Sony just does want to do PS5 quicker and bump up the visuals faster, and because technology is moving very, very rapidly. It's moving very, 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 very fast. So perhaps the PS5 could be ready for 4K. Really ready for 4K. Maybe it could be really ready for something, real virtual reality. Maybe it could be ready for true streaming, to stream all past PlayStation legacy titles. It's a dream machine, really. We don't know what PS5 is going to be like. And yes, I do believe there will be a PS5, absolutely, because like I said, I don't think consoles are going away. They just sell too well. Even if PS4 only sold 40 million units in its lifetime, which is half of what the PS3 did now, which is actually really bad in comparison, but in reality, it's still 40 million unit sales. Those numbers aren't just going to go away. So no hardware maker is just going to stop making consoles out of nowhere. So there's still going to be consoles. I just don't know, where it's going to be, because I don't know the answer. Who knows what the future holds? It could be anything. I'm still waiting for hoverboards from Back to the Future. So who knows? I'll just have to keep talking about it every single week of every year until it actually happens, and then we'll talk about it some more. That's all I wanted to talk about on this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. Hey, I should be posting my Resogun and Killzone Shadowfall review very soon, probably the same day as this. So go and give those a watch. I put a lot of work into those. Out of all the videos I do, Let's Plays, Let's Talk PlayStation reviews, review videos take the most to do. They require a lot of cuts, a lot of footage, and a lot of voiceover, and I write a lot of what I want to say for it, so check those out. That'd be really cool. And that's pretty much it. I'll hopefully have more reviews soon of Ratchet and Tearaway, and then what's that other game I wanted to review? Knack. And I'm still trying to pump out the Let's Plays quicker because I know people are actually really enjoying that one, so that's really cool. But everybody, that's all I want to talk about in this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you so very much for talking with me, and I'll see you guys next Friday.